people of Ghana, it's a Nigerian God pleasure bringing you political news in our channel, Ghanatube. EC chair to face parliament over ballot printing, and actually that was withheld in Ablekuma-North results. In a move to reinforce transparency and electoral accountability, Parliament has announced plans to summon the chairperson of the Electoral Commission (EC), Mensa, to respond to critical questions raised by members of the Parliament. Just as we know that Ablekuma-North result has actually been delayed, the election was actually reheld just because of so much catastrophe that actually happened on the day of the election. And the announcement was actually made by the majority leader Muhammad Iriga during the presentation of the business statement for the upcoming week. The appearance of the EC, the chairperson, is expected to address two key concerns submitted by the Roxin Nelson Kwame Damafonpo, member of the Parliament for South Dayi. The first question seeks to determine whether the EC has awarded any contract for the printing and supply of ballot paper for the 2024 general election. And the next that has actually risen so much concern is what they say this inquiry aims for examine the transparency of procurement of process and ensure the integrity of electoral logistics. The second question relates to the delay of declaration of Ablekuma-North parliamentary results, which have remained officially unannounced since December 7th, 2024. And this December 7th poll was actually one of the earliest general election that was actually carried out. That was last year, going to 6 months now, and the result is actually yet to be confirmed and be announced by the EC. Ghanatube is actually demanding some answers from the EC chairperson regarding the cause of the prolonged delay and why the results have not actually been made public till now. EC has actually been invited to the parliament, as we've seen. Especially this is actually moved to see the reinforcement of transparency and electoral accountability, as the parliament has actually announced plans to summon the chairperson of the Electoral Commission, Mensa, to respond to these critical questions raised by the members of the parliament. And the questions again are to seek and determine whether the EC has awarded any contract for the reprinting or printing and supply of ballot paper for the 2024 general election. And the second question relates to the delayed declaration of the Ablekuma-North parliamentary results, which have remained unofficial and officially unannounced since the December 7th poll. And EC is actually on the verge of coming to the parliament to explain, give us these recovery results, as people are really speculating that EC has a lot to answer on this particularly. And Minister of Health has warned against excessive workshops as infrastructural gaps widen. Minister of Health Mensa has cautioned stakeholders in Ghana's health sector against an over-reliance on workshops and seminars, urging a shift in focus toward addressing the country's critical infrastructural and social science service delivery gaps. Speaking at the inauguration of the Pandemic Fund National Steering Committee in Accra, Akondo expressed concern over the disappropriate use of health sector funds on training sections, calling for more prudent and impactful investment. This is not coming as a shock to us, as we all know that the President of the Nation, President John Mahama, actually glamoured, not just glamoured, beckoned and promised on anything that has to do with accountability, anything that has to do with integrity, and anything that has to do with fairness, and everyone appointed by him, the ministers, deputy ministers, everyone that actually has a seat under his administration, to make sure they work under his terms and making sure they work with accountability. Here, the Minister of Health has actually called on people to actually be watchful on how they actually use the funds made for the health sector for seminars and other vaccines. According to him, he said, "I have only been in the the office for a few months, and what I've realized is that a significant portion of the available funds is being used for workshop and meetings, he said. I sincerely hope this won't be a business as usual. I will vehemently oppose that. He is actually ready to fight and to really stand against anything that will actually hinder the works of the Ministry of Health and all the health sectors, and actually channeling these funds to something that will not really benefit everyone in Ghana. The 13-member committee tasked with strengthening Ghana's pandemic preparedness, response and prevention mechanisms is expected to direct funding towards tangible improvement in healthcare infrastructure and readiness. The fund will specifically support improvement in health workforce readiness, laboratory infrastructures, and early warning surveillance system. Akando noted, citing recent health challenges including meningitis in the Upper West region, cholera outbreaks in the Greater Accra and Central region, and over 70 confirmed mopox cases. He underscored the limitation of training heavy interventions in the face of emergencies. We can organize all the workshops in the world, but without well-equipped laboratories, what happens when there is pandemic? He actually asked, and coming out to actually say that we need to do the needful and the right thing at the right time. We can only organize all the workshops in the world, but without well-equipped laboratory, what happens when there is pandemic? He actually asked. Workshops and meetings are not bad in themselves, but if absolute absurd to spend more than 20% of the fund on them, then we don't need them for now. The minister emphasized on need to consummate on allocating resources, stressing that most of the funding should be used for interventions that deliver real benefit to the average Ghanaians, and not minding the works of the workshops. He actually encourages the workshop to work, but not encouraging the 20% of every fund in health sector to be used as such. Workshop and meetings are not bad in themselves, as you've actually heard him say. The minister emphasized Akando also charged the newly inaugurated committee to prioritize accountability, transparency, and measurable results in their works. In related address, Dr. Sophonius Asarat, leader of the Universal Health Coverage Life Course Cluster at the World Health Organization, who actually encouraged the committee to uphold inclusive and transparency in its activities to strengthen Ghana's public health response capacity. And the committee was inaugurated under the theme Strengthening System for Pandemic Preparedness and Response in Ghana. Please do well to comment how you see this. Also like, comment, put on notification bell so you get all our news one by one. Thanks, my people.